In this video, I'm going to be taking my level 1 autocan all the way to level 700 with one random devil fruit, which can be anything from a diamond all the way to a Buddha fruit. Alright, let's go. On the starter island, I went and got a quest the second I loaded in, and I went and started to kill some bandits. Okay, let's set some ground rules. Whatever fruit I get is final and I have to eat it. All my stat points have to go on fruit, melee and defense. I'm allowed to buy swords, but I can't buy fighting styles, just to make my life just a bit harder if I get a bad fruit. And finally, I have to go to every single island, even if it's only for one quest. So that's the end of the starter island. Now let's go to the jungle. Now it's time for the jungle. Unfortunately, I lost most of my recording for this, so I'm just going to start it from level 16. After I reached level 20, I went and got the quest for the Gorilla King.
Gorilla King. Stats, level 30, strong. A king kills about 50 versus a random player. Stats, level 20. Weak. Can respawn, but no significant kills. Fight! Round 1 winner, the Gorilla King. Round 2, fight. Seconds. Ready? Okay. Round 2 winner, the Gorilla King. Again. Round 3. Fight. And the winner is the random player.
I beat up a bunch of normal gorillas just whilst I waited for him to respawn, and then I started absolutely annihilating him to make the score become a little bit more even. So that now the scoreboard looks in my favour, 3-2 to me. And that marked the end of the jungle. Now let's go on to the third island. I started off by beating pirates until I was level 50, and then after I reached level 50 I went and rolled a fruit. So no matter how lucky I get, whatever fruit I get here is a fruit I have to beat the rest of First Sea with. Let's do it.
Bruh.
So that's nice. The rest of the game with a Vulcan fruit. And to prove it, I'm going to do it. There we go. I've eaten it. After I ate the Vulcan fruit, I beat up a few more pirates and then went on to Bobby. So for the rest of my time on this island, I'm going to beat up Bobby and get mastery on my Vulcan fruit. Because the desert is so annoying to grind in, I did one quest there and immediately left, so no recording there. So now onto the fifth island. I didn't grind any of the lower level enemies because they didn't give that much XP, so I moved straight onto the Yeti the second I could. As you can see, Vulcan fruit isn't the greatest for beating up a big Yeti or any bosses, which is why any other fruit would have probably been infinitely better. This fight goes on so long, so I'm just going to speed through the rest of it. I'm also going to skip the rest of the grinding for this because it is very boring.
So this random player has actually gotten a little bit better. Let's show the new scores. Wow, he's actually got a lot better. Let's see where this journey takes him.
Alright, let's get into Island 6. Before I was allowed to beat the boss, I had to beat the weakest enemy on it, the Chief Petty Officers, but luckily for me, they're not that hard to beat. After I beat enough of them, I was allowed to beat the boss, so I went. The boss did kill me a few times, but that's only because I was using the Vulcan fruit. After this, I kept server hopping, just to beat him a bunch more times and hopefully get his coat. And out of nowhere, on one of the times I was killing him, I launched him outside and I chased him down, and under a tree there was a smoke fruit. Not that good, but still a smoke fruit. So that is a very surprising thing that happened in one of this. Because killing this boss over and over again on screen would be very boring, I'm just going to condense it into this few second montage whilst I'm speaking right here. Luckily on the last one before I went to the Skylands, I got the coat, so that's lucky.
Because the player killed so many bosses on this island, we gotta put him down. But it seems like he also got killed quite a few times.
I only did one quest at this island, so let's skip it. Now, onto the prison island. I started off by beating prisoners, and just because grinding's very boring, I'm gonna just skip until I can beat Swan. So, because Valken Fruit's so bad, I died like 5 times just beating this one boss. And then, I just kept beating him again and again and again. So, let's skip this part. At this point, Valken Fruit's starting to get very annoying to use because bosses are quite strong, so after this island I think it's just gonna get harder and harder. Luckily, after I killed Swan on this one, I got his coat, so that's a bonus.
This player has definitely defeated a lot of bosses. Let's just see how many he has defeated. That is a lot, but currently the bosses have an upper hand on him.
Now, it's time for the Colosseum. Let's get into it. This island isn't that good for grinding, so I'm not going to be on it too long. Something I found out here is that Valken is probably the worst fruit in the game. Its attacks take so long to reload, and they're not even that strong. After beating the new quest once, I decided to go back to the prison as that would be better for my grinding. Now, I'm off to the Magma Island. I started off by beating the military soldiers, but one reason Valken wouldn't be recommended by any reasons is because grinding with it is a pain. After I reached 500k, I went to the Skylands to buy a Tomato Ring. The reason I bought this was because it boosted blox fruit power, which with Valken is very needed. After I beat it, I beat a few more military soldiers before I moved on to the military spies. The Valken grind is so depressing and dull that I had to equip an XP boost just to level up. I then reached the Magma Admiral, and this is the easiest part of the entire island, because I just killed him with the XP boost and I gained so many levels. I kept killing him until the XP boost ran out, and then I moved on to the next island, so let's let that begin.
At this point, the player has actually defeated quite a few bosses. So let's see how many... Oh. So it seems like he's losing by almost 10.
Now let's go on to the underwater city. I skipped the first enemy because I just kept beating the Magma Admiral, so I started at the second enemy in this area. After I did the quest twice, I went back to the Magma Admiral with an XP boost and just kept beating him until I could beat the Fishman Lord. Even though I did die quite a few times in this, I am starting to get a lot better at using Valken. Because this guy gives a lot of XP and levels every time I kill him, I'm going to keep beating him until I'm quite high level because it's better than grinding the Skylands for those enemies. I am going to skip quite a few of the times that I beat him, just because why would you want to see me beating the same guy again and again and again?
So we can see this player isn't doing very well. So, let's see how he's doing now. 45 to 53. Could be better, but could be worse. Let's see how far he can get with it now.
Now it's time for the Upper Skylands. Because grinding the Fishman Lord was so much better than grinding these guys, I didn't really grind too many of them before I moved on to the boss of this area. Another bad thing about Valken is it launches enemies off the island, so every time I went to try and kill one of them, it just sent them flying off the island. Unlike most fruits, Valken is only good for one thing, and that's like boss fights, but it still isn't even good at that, so I would not recommend doing this. I beat Weisper a few more times before I just went to the next island to beat the other enemies one time, but because that wasn't as good as beating Weisper, I went immediately back. After I got enough levels though, I went to the Thunder God and just started grinding him instead of Weisper. My grinding strategy now is to server hop, kill Weisper, kill Thunder God if he's there, server hop again. I'm going to skip the rest of my grinding and head off to the fountain.
This player only has one more island to go, so let's see how he's doing so far. Right now it's anyone's game, I see. So let's see how he fares against the last boss.
Now let's head on to the last island. I only beat the galley pirates once before I went back to the Skylands because that's better for grinding. After I beat them, I went to see the Death King in Midtown to re-roll my race. The first re-roll I got Rabbit, and who wants Rabbit? So I re-rolled again and I got Shark. After I got Shark, I went and beat up some galley captains. After I reached level 675, I then went to beat up the Cyborg until I was at max level, so let's just speedrun that now. Unfortunately though, I forgot to record the exact moment I reached level 700, but I have a photo that I got after I reached it. So now all I need to do for this challenge to be complete is go and beat the Ice Admiral in the Frozen Village and head off to Second Sea, so let's go do that. I beat the Ice Admiral and that meant that this challenge is now completed.
Alright, so the player has finally finished. Let's see the final scores. Unfortunately, this player didn't win, but let's hope if he goes into the Second Sea, he can do a lot better.
Alright, you've made it this far, so I'm going to be hosting a giveaway. So if you get first place, you get Permanent Flame, second, Permanent Bomb, and third, Permanent Chop. The only condition is you need to write your Roblox username in the comments. And goodbye.